What is it that makes Beloved Dust particularly relevant in today's culture?
Yeah, well, I think the heart of our book is obviously exploring prayer. And not to be cliche, but I think that's probably always relevant. Christians are people who are given to prayer, and we know this is part of our calling as followers of Jesus, that we're to be prayerful. But what I've discovered now after several years of being in pastoral ministry, almost a decade, is that prayer remains to be this very vexing thing for people. And oftentimes it's an area that isn't well explored with pastors and with church community. And so there's all kinds of encouragement to practice certain spiritual disciplines, or to get involved in service, or to get involved in missions, or to be more connected in fellowship at church. But this element of prayer is often kind of left unaddressed quite a bit. And I think in one sense almost assumed, maybe presumed upon a little bit, that, well, we all kind of know we're supposed to pray, and so hopefully that's going well for you. But what I have found now in entering into a lot of conversations with people about their prayer life is that prayer is anything but clear for most people, particularly people who've been on the Christian journey for any length of time. They find themselves confused by the vagaries in prayer, disconcerted and maybe even guilty about the dryness and disconnect they feel in prayer. Have I done something wrong? Is God not wanting to show up and talk to me anymore? Uncertain about their discernment in prayer. Gosh, I feel like God said this to me, but I'm not really sure. Do I tell someone else that God told me something and it's His will, or is it not? Am I hearing it right? Am I hearing my own voice? Am I just talking to myself in prayer? I think these are questions we all wrestle with. And we wrestle with, I think, probably for the duration of our Christian life and varying seasons and different experiences we encounter in our walk with God. But again, I think they're often questions that really aren't very well or often addressed. And so our hope is, again, in this book, to really take those questions, the real questions people have in prayer, seriously, and give them dignity and give them time. And be honest about our own journey and say, we get it. We know what it's like to experience silence and desolation in prayer. We know what it's like to feel like you're talking to a wall. We know what it's like to be uncertain about, did I or didn't I hear from God? And so I think that's immensely relevant for all followers of Jesus today.
Yeah, well, and a lot of what we're hoping to navigate, I think, touches on some of the relevancies of these things in our culture. You know, I think our culture specifically has some temptations, some tendencies that makes prayer difficult. You know, we have a culture saturated with self-help. And so I want to fix myself. What do I turn to? Well, the pastor said pray. Yeah, okay, I'll pray. That'll fix my life. Now suddenly, again, it's about me. We turn to moralism. Well, Christians are supposed to be good. What does it mean to be good? Oh, I'm supposed to pray. Okay, I guess I'll pray. You know, and so we turn into another box to kind of check off. And you know, we, again, in American society, I think particularly have this temptation always to a kind of prosperity gospel. And prosperity gospel is a term usually used to talk about, you know, people who are preaching, give us money or something like that, and God will give you money back. But there's other kinds of prosperity gospels. We have emotional prosperity gospels. If you pray more, you'll have a certain kind of experience. If you pray more, then your life will go the way you want. And so suddenly all of these things start coming in, and we don't attend to it. Am I actually being with God? And we start grabbing for all this other stuff. And we miss the fact that, oh, God's calling us to be with Himself. And that activity can actually be quite difficult. And a lot of what your heart's going to do is try to reject it. And so I think as we wrote this, we both decided, you know, people need a manual, in a sense, for how do I navigate this? What does this even look like? What does it mean to be with God in the midst of all of these temptations, all of these tendencies, all of these cultural things? And how can we navigate these things in a way that's actually fruitful?